Hi guys, this is JG here with Earth 5D University, back for another video. I'm so glad you're here. Some of you might know me from my tarot channel, Earth 5D. I'm excited to get into it today, guys. We're going to be talking about the blending of the divine masculine and feminine, how that's playing out in our society, how it's so unbalanced right now, right, in our mainstream media, how it's so unbalanced right now when we look at what's going on the planet. With MGM, I call it Hollywood, MSM, mainstream media, social media, it's just really up in our faces that there's a lot of problems, right? There's a lot of consciousness coming into shining light onto the truth about what's going on out there. And so buckle up, right? Because it hasn't been easy, what we're seeing out there. So that's why I'm here today. I want to talk a little bit about my experience with you. I'm going to share some of my life story to help bring it around, circle what I've been through, and tie it into the blending of the polarity of the divine masculine and feminine. My story is this. So my journey to consciousness has been, right, like most people, up and down a winding road. When I was born with a lot of psychic gifts, just like everybody, but a high-level empath, very, very in tune with consciousness as a very small person, could see people's intentions, could see so many different things that others were just not, they just were not picking up on. So I was very, very, very highly sensitive child. And right, the world is not a sensitive place, at least the world that we're living in. So the universe was not a very easy place for me to be a part of, for me to be successful within. And so you're dealing with school, you're dealing with society that's very dark, a lot of underlying dark things happening, and me being very, very aware of that as this highly sensitive child. So by the time I hit high school, my gifts had really been smashed down, my intuition, because these gifts were not accepted. I had to kind of I had an older brother, and we were really physical with each other. We used to fight a lot, so I really grew to have a very stiff upper lip, and to really just kind of push all of that down, because that was kind of like the nonsense. No one got it. It was, my gifts were not even considered gifts in my family. And it's not to blame my family, it's just they didn't know about it. They didn't know what to do. They didn't even notice it. So those got pushed down, pushed down, pushed down. So by the time I reached high school, I'm completely disconnected from that higher part of myself. And it really took a toll on me, And so by the time I was like mid-high school, sophomore year, I was very, very miserable. So I was escaping into drugs. I was escaping by cutting myself. I was just so sad, so disconnected, so depressed. And so fast forward that, and I got through those years, and I came out. I ended up having a really good therapist that helped me work through and really just helped me see my gifts and acknowledge them. And so what happened to me then is when I got in a little bit higher vibration with some help, I had a very spiritual awakening experience. And so I literally had a spiritual awakening where I felt like Jesus, the consciousness of Jesus, or the consciousness of my light family, literally came to me and lifted my soul. So it was like this huge consciousness awakening when I was 19. And so I couldn't even say a swear word for 3 years. I couldn't even watch a mainstream TV show or movie because the topics were just so it was a very interesting time. I quit everything. I just didn't do. I was just like a Puritan, and I did that for maybe 3 or 4 years. So I ended up going to college, wanting to change the world, study social work, and help people, help society. I wanted to work within the government, and I ended up working for the district attorney's office, and I ended up seeing all these things going on that weren't something that I felt was really healing the planet. I was like, these are people who are saying they're here to help, but I'm not feeling that they're here to help. But I studied it, and I got the theory, and then I went on and I studied philosophy and theology, wanting to understand the higher level, esoteric level, how is the earth like it is? Where are we from? What is going on here? And I wanted to learn how thought structures work too. How do people design their thoughts? How do they write about their thoughts? you know, and it was this very philosophical, but very thoughtful process that I was in grad school. And so I ended up leaving grad school, not finishing it. And I was like, okay, I have to find my purpose, you know? So I ended up, over time, this took 3-4 years, I ended up deciding I want to be a writer. Because I knew I was a writer, and no one ever said you're a writer, except for in elementary school, and you know, when your teacher that just loves you so much is like, you're a writer, I'm gonna help, you know. But then society came in, my parents came in, you know, you can't make a living as a writer, X, Y, and Z. So I decided I was. So I manifested a career as a writer, and I entered the advertising world. And so this is the shift, guys, that I'm talking about. I went from being in a very feminine energy, well, mostly feminine energy, to wanting to help and save and heal, to the advertising world, where corporate America was running with like the big dogs. You know, I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and I learned how to be a copywriter. I was good at it. You know, I loved to write, and I could own that. You know, I was really good at creating advertising and creating ads that sold. So I ended up getting in the automotive industry, advertising on top of it. I moved to Detroit. I worked for Chevrolet. I wrote ads for like the Transformers movie. You know, I was really into this big masculine automotive environment where you're writing and you're working very hard and you're playing very hard. And that career took me on a 15-year journey through corporate America, believe it or not, almost 20-year journey through corporate America. And so I learned to flex the muscle of the masculine side, and I learned the darkness of it. And I learned, now when I say masculine side, I'm not talking about men. So we're talking about energy. This is the energy. This conversation is about the energy of the divine masculine and feminine. So that the divine masculine energy, masculine and feminine energy, is meant to be present on the earth in a healthy way. So it's seeking to express itself in a healthy way through you and me. So, and everyone, through consciousness. So when I talk about masculine, dark masculine, I'm not talking about a man. I'm talking about, because I know from the day I was born, I could see the dark feminine and what that is all about too. So through my experience working in myself, through my own personal journey of being a divine feminine and working through the divine masculine energy in corporate America and kind of learning what all that's about, I kind of got pulled out of it, right? I pulled myself out of it. And now I've got this very interesting holistic perspective of what we're dealing with. So the planet has been really, really suppressed of feminine energy, and it has nothing to do with being a female. It is the divine feminine that has been squashed like this for tens of thousands of years. Humans used to worship the goddess energy in ancient Sumeria, in Egypt, and throughout antiquity, right? We're not going to get into the debate over scientifically how long ago that was, but there's definitely a huge debates about that. And that began to get squashed out. Greek, Roman, you know, boom, 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 boom. Tens of thousands of years. So what has happened is we have lost touch with the feminine energy of flow. We have lost touch with the feminine energy of harmony and unity. And so the Greeks used to call knowledge Sophia. Sophia is the feminine side of God. I was also, one other interesting tidbit, guys, is I was also raised Jewish. My mom's Catholic and my dad is Jewish, but I went to Sunday school, Hebrew school, and I learned the Old Testament. I learned all those stories. So I had this really interesting Judeo-Christian background. So that's also part of my history. Now, the Judaism that I was a part of and studied, and in my family, the female had a much stronger role. But it's a very nurturing role. So I was exposed to a strong female nurturing role and from my grandma, who's still alive. So that divine feminine energy has been really, really, really pushed down. And so now without this flow, we see what's going on in the world. Okay, and I want to, the word that sums it up, that I've noticed sums it up, is not only just domination from the divine masculine that's out of control. Like, this dark energy wants you to be obedient. In fact, if you are not obedient, it starts right in school, right? Then you're totally ridiculed, right? You're just outcasted. You must be obedient. You will go to the principal's office. You must be obedient to your priest. You must be obedient to other parents in your neighborhood. You know, we're taught this and we're stuck in this obedience, and it really, really suppresses who you are. It really, really suppresses who you are, because I don't think you'll believe that you could be who you are, because you have to be what someone else has told you have to be. So this obedience is squashing. It's squashing our earth right now. This topic is so significant to you guys, I believe, because most of you want this divine harmony and this divine union. And that unification happens inside of yourself. It happens by understanding who you are and being obedient to your own self. Not the government, not the X, Y, and Z, the boss, not the spouse, not the parents, not the university. You know, you have to be able to have your own freedom to express yourself, no matter what system you're involved with. We all have organizations that we have to be involved with, but there's a necessity to bring in this flowy unity energy, because otherwise it's just serving its own self. It has nothing to do with your well-being. It's just there to serve itself, not yourself. It's there to serve itself. So it just becomes it serving itself instead of that system, like education or whatever system it is, or government. It needs to serve you, the people. It needs to serve us. I could spend hours and hours talking about why the divine feminine was squished down and why that flow, unity, and harmony is no longer a part of is very, very little bit a part of our current systems. But we'll save that for another video. So guys, consider how the divine feminine and masculine is working in your life. Ask yourself, are you happy with the way your life is flowing? Are you happy with the way the world is flowing around you? Are you happy with the way you are flowing? And are you happy with the way love is flowing in your life? If you aren't, then consider looking at how this divine masculine and feminine energy may be off balance inside of you. What areas can you adjust? Now, I have a class that I started to help you guys to kind of work through some of this energy. That class ran through September. It was wonderful. I'm so grateful for all the students that came. There's another one starting October 5th. If you're interested, it's linked down below. It's called the Divine Union Invocation, because if you're here on this channel, you have a vocation that needs to be invoked, that needs to be awoken. So that's what this invocation is awaking this divine calling you have for a divine masculine feminine union. So once that ignites within inside of you, when you meet your special person or you just become aware of your special person, it's like poof, this huge generator of light and love for the planet. All right, guys, so consider these thoughts. I'm so happy you're here. If you have questions, if you need help with anything, let me know. Visit earth-5d.com, and that'll be all linked down below. And I love you guys. So much love and light. Bye for now.